Hello, welcome to part 2 of my introduction into Sass series. Now that we've installed Sass, let's create our first Sass file. So Sass files are created by giving a file the extension .scss, and all CSS is valid in our SCSS or Sass file. Okay, so I've created an empty folder called sass_example. Now I'm going to open this in Visual Studio Code, which is my text editor of preference, and I like it because it also includes an integrated terminal. So in this folder, let's create our first Sass file. Let's call it intro.scss and enter. So that's it, we've created our first Sass file. Now in here, we can type all our regular CSS and it will be valid and it will work. So as an example, let's create a rule set. So PHTML element selector, font color of red, and save. All right. So now, how do we turn this into CSS? Well, let's open the integrated terminal in our Sass example folder. And in the folder sass_example, we can now use the command sass space, and now this takes an input file and an output file. So our input will be intro.scss space, and then the name of our output, let's make it intro.css, and run that. So now you can see it's created two files in our folder. One is this intro.css.map, which is source mapping, which we won't touch on just at this minute, but let's take a look at our intro.css. Let's put this side by side with our Sass file. And so you can see it's exactly the same rule set, okay? Because we haven't used any Sass specific features in this, it's just a basic CSS rule set. When it compiles into CSS, it's exactly the same. But once we start using more Sass specific features, what the compilation does using the Sass command is that it turns it and it breaks it down into basic CSS without those features. Okay. Now, let's say we're making lots of changes on our Sass file and our HTML cannot read the Sass file directly. It only reads the CSS style sheets. And so every time you make a change, you need to compile, change, compile, change, compile. So what we can do here is use what's called a watch tag. So SASS _watch, and then enter the two files again. So the input and the output, and run that. So now it says Sass is watching for changes. Press Ctrl+C to stop. So now whenever we make a change, let's say we change this to blue and save. So now you can see compiled intro.scss to intro.css. Every time we make a change now and we save that change, when Sass is watching, if there's a change that has been saved, it will automatically compile that into our CSS file. So you can see now that our .css has a font of blue. We change that to green and save. And now our intro.css is turned to green. So this just helps to streamline our coding.